Alright, this will probably be the last video I'm doing for quite a while, since I just did like 31 videos in like 6 days, but, this is my standings, MLB standing, like, divisional predictions. Also, I'll give you the playoffs and who I think will be the World Series champion, and yeah, let's get underway. First, we've got the AL West. The Texas Rangers seeking to become the first team in Texas to win multiple world championships. Really exciting time for the Rangers. I think they're going to be 96 and 96. And you just look at the team. Lineup is loaded from 1 to 9. I mean, you got Simeon, Seager, Carter, Lowe, Young, Heim, Langford, Tavares. I'm probably forgetting someone, but just an insane lineup. And then the rotation, it's a bit of a concern, but if they can stay afloat in the first half, they get the aces back, DeGrom, Scherzer, and Maile, and then when they get those guys back, they're going to go on a roll and make the playoffs. Second place, Seattle Mariners. I'm not a huge fan of the offense. It can be good. The offense can be good for the Mariners, but the rotation is fantastic. Like, you've got potentially 4 or 5 aces in this rotation. Just really, really good rotation. And then in third place, the Houston Astros. And let me tell you why. Right now, they're in a similar boat to the Rangers, but their pitching is worse. You look at it right now. Luis Garcia, Lance McCullers, and Justin Verlander are all hurt. Like, they basically have an entire rotation on the IL, basically. And, I mean, this is a good team, don't get me wrong. You've got a great lineup, but, like, Yordan Alvarez needs to play a full year for this team. The rotation, I mean, you've got freaking Ronel Blanco as, like, the 4th starter, and, like, I just don't see it. Like, you've got one good pitcher in that rotation, basically, at the moment, and that's Framber Valdez, and we don't even know if he's going to be good. He got absolutely shelled in the playoffs last year. And then 4th place, we got the LA Angels. I see promise in this team. I really like the rotation, but just overall, I'm not a huge fan of this team, mainly because of the rotation. I think the rotation can be good, but it's all going to rely on Reed Detmers and Patrick Sandoval getting their form back. And then last but least is the Oakland A's, and I just do not see the Oakland A's going anywhere this year. I do see them winning more games than they did last year, but just not going to be much of an improvement. The prospects will get better. Darnell Hernaiz, I think is his name, is going to come up this year and be really exciting for them. Next up, we got the AL Central. I have the Detroit Tigers winning the AL Central. And you look at this team, so much young talent. It is unbelievable, the amount of young talent on this team. You have Parker Meadows, who I expect to have a good year. Riley Green, I think, could turn into a superstar this year. Spencer Torkelson, same with him. He's amazing. Kerry Carpenter is amazing. Mark Canha has great power. Colt Keith, new prospect. Javier Baez, I know Baez sucks, but if he can just be an average hitter, his great defense would more than make up for that. Gio Urshela, I really like him. If he can sort of get over the injury bug, then he could have a great year. And then Jake Rogers, not great at the catcher spot, but we'll see. Rotation, fantastic. Tariq Skubal at the top. He is the ace. I think he can be the AL Cy Young winner this year. And then you got Jack Flaherty, Kenta Maeda, Matt Manning, and Reese Olson, plus a really good bullpen. Sky's the limit, really, for the Tigers. And then you've got the Minnesota Twins, and this is an interesting team for sure. Hitting is solid, but the rotation scares me a bit. Solid top 3 in the rotation, but the bottom 2 concern me. And the bullpen's not amazing. But we'll see with the Twins. Then the Royals. A lot of people think the Royals have an outside chance to contend, and I agree. I just don't think they're ready. You've got really one, like, good starting pitcher in the rotation and just a bunch of other average guys. You've got Cole Reagans, who is amazing, and I'm sad the Rangers let him go, but, I mean, winning championships comes at a cost. the lineup is pretty good, but what scares me is the bullpen. The bullpen is bad. But we'll see. I could see the Royals shocking some people this year. Next up, we have the Cleveland Indians, and I mean, I don't know. I might be sleeping on them too here. I mean, you've got a pretty, I don't want to say great. It's just all right lineup. Stephen Kwan, I think, is overrated. Andres Jimenez, if he can go back to his 2022 form, huge for this team. Jose Ramirez is a stud. Josh Naylor's a stud. Ramon Laureano's not that great. Bo Naylor, I think he can be a stud. Same with Kyle Manzardo. And then you got the rotation: Bieber, McKenzie, Bybee, Williams, and Logan Allen. Shane Bieber, if the Indians are having an off year this year, Shane Bieber needs to be shipped for hitting prospects, because they do not need any more pitching prospects. And the bullpen's good. You got a lockdown closer in Emmanuel Clase, but I just don't see this team. I don't think it's ready to compete, really. I think the young pitchers are going to take a step back, and the offense isn't going to be that great. And then the White Sox, I genuinely think this is probably the worst team in baseball. I mean, there's one good player, really, and it's Luis Robert. He's amazing. I think he could be an MVP contender, really, but unless they get like huge step-ups from like Andrew Vaughn or Yoan Moncada, this is just not a good team, and the rotation's just not good at all. The bullpen's the worst in the league by far. But I don't know. White Sox are just atrocious. And then next up we have the New York Yankees, and I really like this team. Big question is, can their guys bounce back from injury? You've got the lineup: LeMahieu, Soto, Judge, Rizzo, Torres, Stanton, Verdugo, Volpe, and Trevino is listed as the starting catcher on most websites, but I think Austin Wells is going to be the starting catcher, mainly for offense, but Trevino could be like a late-game defensive replacement. I really like Jose Trevino in that role. Not a great hitter, never really has been. Trust me, he was with the Rangers for like 3 or 4 years, was not great. Rotation, I think, is pretty solid. Nestor Cortez, listed as the number 1 right now. He needs to just like go back to his old form, or just somewhat, just a little glimpse of that. Like, he needs to just be solid overall. He doesn't have to be Cy Young contender. Carlos Rodon needs to have a better year than last year. I know he was like hurt, something was wrong, but he is the biggest comeback player of the year kind of guy in the whole league, really. Clark Schmidt, listed as the number 4 starter. I don't really like him very much, but we'll see. Garrett Cole is the ace of this team, but he's going to be out for the beginning of the season, so he won't get big sample size. And then they have a pretty solid bullpen with Clay Holmes as the closer. So I really like where the Yankees are headed. Next up, we've got the Baltimore Orioles, 96 wins, solid team overall. You got Cedric Mullins, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Anthony Santander, great hitting. You also got Jackson Holliday in that hitting. What concerns me is the young pitchers. Corbin Burns is amazing. God, I got sinuses today. Grayson Rodriguez concerns me. He can throw gas, but his fastball got lit up last year. And Dean Kramer got lit up in the playoffs as well. Both by the Rangers. Tyler Wells is okay. Cole Irvin's okay. The bullpen, I think, is pretty solid. But I don't see them being better than the Yankees just yet. Give it like a couple years when all the guys are just like they're there and they're established, and they will be a 100-win team. And then we've got Tampa Bay Rays, 91 and 71. This is a solid team as well. I think that I have them making the playoffs as like the 6th seed. I don't know. Look at this chart and you can tell me. But really solid hitting core for the most part. It's going to depend on if Junior Caminero can come up early and make an impact. He's going to start in the minors, I believe. We'll see with him. Rotation is okay for now. You got Zach Eflin listed as number 1. Ryan Pepiot, I'm really interested in. I really like what he brings to the table. Taj Bradley as well. I hope he can have a good year after not having a great year last year. Then the bullpen is fantastic with Pete Fairbanks as the closer. Next up, we got the Blue Jays. I think I obviously I don't think they're in the playoffs in my slides here, but not just I don't see it with the Blue Jays. I really don't. George Springer's gonna keep declining. Didn't have an amazing year last year. Bo Bichette's great. Vlad Guerrero's great. Justin Turner is old and injury riddled. Dalton Varsho is not that great, and then the rest of the lineup is just bad. Rotation's actually pretty good. Barrios, Bassett, and Gosman is a good 1-2-3. Then you got Yusei Kikuchi. He's not that great. And then Alek Manoah needs to get back to his 2022 form and like maybe lose some pounds because he's just not what he used to be. Bullpen's actually pretty good, but overall I don't see them being better than the Rays, Orioles, or Yankees in this division. And then last and least, obviously, the Boston Red Sox. And I feel like 68 might be a bit low for them, but when you really look at it, like this team is built on like best case scenario. Like so many guys who have like had injury history. But overall it's a not that bad of a team really. Jarren Duran I expect to be great. Same with Rafael Devers. Trevor Story needs to bounce back. Tyler O'Neill, if he can pull the ball and like get under it, he can be great. Masataka Yoshida is great. The rotation scares me a bit. Nick Pivetta, he's shown like signs of like having great stuff, but he's not really giving us any results to like be like wow, like he's great. The rest of the rotation's not good. I do think Cutter Crawford though could be like a dark horse Cy Young candidate. He has great stuff. Bullpen not great. Kenley Jansen I believe is the closer. But yeah, that'll do it for the AL. Next up we have the NL West. And no surprise, the LA Dodgers I have winning the NL West. This was pretty easy. You've got Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, James Outman, Teoscar Hernandez, Jason Hayward, Gavin Lux. Great lineup. What concerns me is the pitching. They basically have like 4 healthy starters right now until like Kershaw comes back. So they're going to have to rely on guys like Emmett Shahan, I think is his name, and then another guy, I think his name's Michael Grove. Those guys are going to have to step up in the 5 role, and then the bullpen's really good. Evan Phillips is a fantastic closer. Next up, we've got the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I really like where this team is headed. Very, very promising. A lot of young talent on this team. Corbin Carroll is the superstar. He's going to be great. Ketel Marte's getting older, but he is still amazing. Gabriel Moreno is only going to get better. Same with Christian Walker. Jock Peterson, I think, could have a big year. Lourdes Gurriel is great. The rest of the lineup's not great, I don't think. But Jordan Lawler, I expect to have a good rookie year. And then the rotation, really, really solid. You got Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly as the 1 and 2. Merrill Kelly was fantastic in the playoffs. Eduardo Rodriguez, I don't really like him as a pitcher. He's just not that great. I don't think. I feel like people like overhype him way too much. And then Brandon Pfaadt, I expect to have a breakout year after a great playoffs. And then Ryan Nelson as the 5 starter, not amazing. But the bullpen is where this team sort of shines more. Torey Lovello is going to have so many like just solid arms to go to in that bullpen with Sewald and Ginkel and Thompson and Kyle Nelson as well. Next team up, San Diego Padres. And despite having an 84-win record, I believe I have them in the playoffs still. Solid hitting, obviously Bogarts, Tatis, Machado. Don't have Juan Soto anymore. I still think giving up Juan Soto was a bit of a mistake, but obviously you need prospects for pitching, and you had to trade him basically. I really, really like the rotation though. Yu Darvish, number 1. You got Joe Musgrove, Dylan Cease, Michael King, and Johnny Brito. Pretty solid. Then the bullpen's pretty good as well. But I just don't see, they're going to lose a lot of games to the Dodgers and Diamondbacks, which is hurting their record. Like, if they didn't have the Dodgers in the division, they probably win 90 games, but I'm sorry, I just have to stick them with 84. Then, right in the middle, we've got the Giants, 81 and 81, my prediction. Pretty good team For the most part, you got Jung-Hoo Lee. He needs to step up, or this team is screwed because he's the leadoff hitter. Then you got Jorge Soler, who I expect to have a big year. Michael Conforto needs to bounce back. Then you got Matt Chapman, who's good. Mike Yastrzemski, I don't know what happened to him. He used to be really good. Then Patrick Bailey, he has amazing potential if he can just hit a little better. Rotation, I kind of like. I'm not going to lie. You got Logan Webb and Blake Snell, number 1 or 2. Then you got Kyle Harrison. And then after that, it's really a mystery. You got Jordan Hicks and Keaton Wynn. Also, Robbie Ray is an option. The Mariners just traded him over there. And then, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty good team overall, but I just don't, they're going to lose a lot of games to the Dodgers, and that's why I can't give them any more wins. But yeah, that is the Giants for you. Now we've got the Rockies, 55 and 107. Not good at all. Bad. Really, really bad. Best hitter in this lineup is Nolan Jones. He's a stud. The rest of the lineup is just not desirable at all. Rotation is garbage, and the bullpen is garbage. I don't think I need to explain any more. This is a bad team. Next up, we got the NL Central, probably the weakest division in baseball, but we've got the Chicago Cubs as our first team, 90 and 72, winning the division. Solid hitting core. I really like the 1 through 6 they have in the lineup. And then you got Justin Steele, who's great. Jameson Taillon needs to get back to what he used to be doing with the Pirates. And then you got Shota Imanaga coming over from Japan, I believe. Then the other 2 guys in the rotation, you got Kyle Hendricks. His stuff is just so slow. I don't know how it doesn't get crushed all the time. Then Jordan Wicks has looked pretty good in spring training, so he'll be in the rotation. And then you got a pretty solid bullpen as well. Next up, Cincinnati Reds. I believe I have them just missing the playoffs. Sucks for them. I think the hitting is really good, but the pitching concerns me. Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green I really like, but Frankie Montas is just a bit scary for me. Bullpen is bad as well. I think the hitting is going to carry this team, but just I don't think they're ready to contend yet. Then the Milwaukee Brewers, 80 and 82, not really that great of a team. I might have oversold them, but we know they can work their magic with the pitching. Freddie Peralta is good, but the rest of the rotation's bad. You got, obviously, William Contreras and Christian Yelich leading the lineup along with Rhys Hoskins. Bullpen is really good as well, but I don't see the Brewers going anywhere. And if they have a slow start, they need to trade Devin Williams and get some prospects for him. Next up, we got the St. Louis Cardinals. Pretty good hitting core for the most part. You got Brendan Donovan and Nolan Gorman, who I really like. Gorman especially, he's a really good hitter. And then you got Goldschmidt and Arenado, the big studs on this team. They are getting older, but they're still pretty good. And then solid lineup overall. Rotation is not that great. Sonny Gray's good, but the rest of the rotation is just not very desirable at all. Bullpen is actually pretty good, with Ryan Helsley leading the charge. Then the Pittsburgh Pirates, I feel like people are overselling them. You got O'Neal Cruz as really the big star, and then Brian Reynolds and Ke'Bryan Hayes. Andrew McCutchen, I think, is going to have a steep fall off this year, but we'll see. Pirates really only have 4 starting pitchers, which is bad, and then the bullpen's just not that great. Although they do have David Bednar and Aroldis Chapman. Now the NL East, we have the Atlanta Braves. Really, really like this team. Hitting, this team is pretty much the Rangers, just with better pitching. I mean, you got 1 through 9, great hitters all throughout the lineup. I don't think they're quite the best lineup in the league. The Rangers, I think, are still the best. But the rotation, really good. Spencer Strider, Max Fried, Chris Sale, great 1, 2, 3. Charlie Morton and Ronaldo Lopez scare me a bit, but we'll see with them. And then the bullpen is really, really solid for the Braves. 103 wins for the Atlanta Braves. And then we've got the Phillies. Good team. Not going to beat the Braves, I do not think. Although, we'll see. Maybe they'll get a rematch in the playoffs. Hitting is great. Pitching is starting pitching's good, bullpen is solid. The defense is what kind of kills this team. But I still expect the Phillies to make the playoffs. New York Mets 76 and 86, not great. Rotation is pretty bad. They have the best closer in the league, Edwin Diaz, but he cannot pitch every inning, obviously. And Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor cannot afford to carry this lineup. They're going to need step-ups from guys like Nimmo and Alvarez if they want to contend. And then the Miami Marlins, I like the direction this team is headed in, but you basically lost. They don't spend money at all, so they weren't going to keep Jorge Soler, but they've lost pretty much their whole source of power in Jorge Soler. The rest of the lineup's now that I think about it, it's not really that bad, but I just think they're too young. I don't think they're ready to contend. And then you got the pitching. I really like their 1 through 5. You got Luzardo, Perez, Rogers, Garrett, and Cabrera, all really solid. Then the bullpen's pretty good as well. I do think they need another bullpen arm to really solidify it. But if they can contend in the first half, I would trade for either like an outfielder or like an infielder or something, because they need hitting badly. And then the Washington Nationals, not much to say on them. Rotation is not that great outside of Mackenzie Gore. The bullpen is not great, and the hitting is just not great either. But I expect Lane Thomas and C.J. Abrams to both have big years again. Alright, playoff seeding. We've got the Rangers, Yankees, Dodgers, and Braves getting the byes, and then those are the other seeds. So if you remember how the format goes, it's, I believe, so Detroit and Tampa face off, and then Baltimore and Seattle face off. And then I think the winner of 6 and 3 goes against the second seed, and then the winner of 4 and 5 goes against the first seed. So then we've got this Detroit versus Tampa in the wild card series. These are best of 3. I have the Tigers winning in 3. I think their pitching is just better than the Rays. If the Rays can get some of their guys back earlier than we expected, then I could see them winning this series, but I don't see it right now. And then Baltimore and Seattle, Mariners in 2. You might be surprised by that. You're like, oh, the Orioles had a better record. Well, I just like the Mariners pitching a lot better. And in a 2-game series, when you can throw out Logan Gilbert and George Kirby, or Luis Castillo and George Kirby, or Castillo and Gilbert, that's so amazing that they're able to do that. It's like the Rangers last year, where they had Evaldi and Montgomery, just chucking them out first and second game of the series and basically getting free wins. That's what the Rangers did in the playoffs to succeed. NL wildcard, Cubs, Padres. Padres 84 wins, sneaking into the playoffs. The Cubs are just better. I think they're going to make a move at the deadline and maybe get a starting pitcher. And then you got the Philadelphia Phillies and the Diamondbacks rematch of the NLCS last year. I have the Diamondbacks prevailing again in games. 3 games. And then we got the AL Divisional, Seattle versus New York. The Mariners finally get over that playoff hump against the Yankees and win in 4 games. And then we've got the Rangers and the Tigers. And really the only thing pushing the Rangers and Tigers series to 5 is the Tiger pitching. I do believe that the Rangers pitching is a bit worse than the Tigers, but the offense, I think, should be enough to overcome it. So the Rangers move on, and the Mariners move on. So that'll be a matchup in the ALCS. Then the NL Divisional, I have the Diamondbacks beating the Dodgers again, but Dodgers put up a fight this time, but they lose in 5. We've got Cubs and Braves. I think the Cubs will come out swinging, but Braves are just too good. And so it'll be D-backs versus Braves in the NLCS. Now we get the ALCS. I have the Texas Rangers winning in 7, back-to-back pennants. Back-to-back pennants for the second time in franchise history, and they've done that twice now in franchise history. That's pretty impressive. And then you got the Mariners. Mariners, I just don't think they're better than the Rangers. That's just what I think, and I'm sorry if that makes you mad, but that's just what it is. In the NL Championship Series, I have the Diamondbacks upsetting the Braves. When you really think about it, I think one of the Braves pitchers is going to have an injury, whether it be Chris Sale or Max Fried. It's going to be one of those two. or I could even see Spencer Strider getting hurt. The Diamondbacks, I think, if they're healthy, they easily win this series. Like I said, like last year, like last 2 years, the Braves just completely unprepared against inferior teams, and I think that's what's going to happen again. And the Diamondbacks are going to go to the World Series, which sets up a rematch between the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. Rangers with home field advantage again. Diamondbacks trying to avenge last year's loss. And your champion is the Texas Rangers, this time winning in 7 games, much closer series. I really like what the Diamondbacks are building, but I just don't think... I think they're like one starting pitcher, maybe one more bat away from being able to contend. But once the Rangers have the playoff roster, and if it's healthy for the most part, nobody would stop this team in the playoffs. And the MVP of the World Series, Adolis Garcia, probably could have been MVP of the World Series if he didn't get hurt. Sorry, Corey Seager, but it's Adolis' time to win the MVP. Compiled these memes for you. I hope you like them. But, yeah, that'll be it for this video. And I'm glad that you watched. Make sure you go check out my team preview series. And hopefully this will be a great MLB season. Obviously, if you couldn't tell, I'm a Texas Rangers fan. But I genuinely believe that the Rangers will repeat this year. But let me know what you think. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. I don't really care. Just sound off in the comments if you feel like it. Alright, well, thank y'all for watching so much. And go check out my team preview series if you want. Subscribe if you want. I don't really care if you do or don't, but I would appreciate if you did. Alright, well, thanks for watching.